Hello students, this is your economics teacher Ayana. I hope you are well and utilizing the time wisely.
In the previous class, you learned about chapter 6 banking. Today you are going to learn about chapter 7 international economics. First we will discuss meaning of international economics, subject matter of international economics, meaning of trade and theories of international trade. Students, watch this video very carefully till the end. Fine, let us enter into the chapter 7 international economics. First, you are going to learn about meaning of international economics. Students, take the page number 125. Introduction. The subject international economics evolved from a simple theory of international trade was formulated to answer a few basic questions. The subject first originated in Western Europe on account of increasing importance of foreign trade in that part of the world. The contributions of classical economists like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, F.W. Daszak, Haberler, J.S. Mill and Béla Balassa shaped the subject matter of international economics. International economic studies the entire range of international economic transaction that consists of not only trade in goods and service but also capital flows, technology transfer, the rate of exchange, balance of payments and issues relating to tariffs, production, free trade, investment flows, role of fiscal and monetary policies pursued by individual countries. Next, meaning of international economics. International economics is concerned with the effects upon economic activity from international differences in productive resources and consumer preferences and the international institutions that affect them. It seeks to explain the patterns and the consequence of transaction and interactions between the inhabitants of different countries, including trade, investment, and transaction. International trade is a field in economics that applies microeconomic models to help understand the international economy. Its focus is on the interrelationship between aggregate economic variables such as GDP, unemployment rates, inflation rates, trade balances, exchange rates, interest rates, etc. Here, international economics is that branch of economics which is concerned with the exchange of goods and services between two or more countries. Hence, the subject matter is mainly related to foreign trade. In other words, international economics is a specialized field of economics which deals with the economic interdependence among countries and studies the effects of such interdependence and the factors that affect it. Second, you are going to learn about subject matter of international economics. The subject matter of international economics includes large number of segments which are classified into following parts. First, pure trade of theory. The pure trade of foreign trade assumes that money prices and cost will adjust passively to the real equilibrium of the international economy. Here, this component explains the causes of foreign trade, composition, direction and volume of trade, determinations of the trade and exchange rate, issues related to balance of trade and balance of payments. Second, policy issue. Under this part, policy issue such as free trade versus protection, methods of regulating trade, capital and technology flows, use of taxation, subsidies and dumping, exchange control and convertibility, foreign aid, external borrowing and foreign direct investment, measures of correcting disequilibrium in the balance of payments, etc. are covered. Third, international cartels and trade blocs. What is meant by international cartels? An international cartel is an arrangement to avoid some or all forms of competition, the parties to which are business enterprises domiciled under more than one government and trading across national frontier. A trading bloc. A trading bloc is a type of intergovernmental agreements, often part of a regional intergovernmental organization, where regional barriers to international trade, that is tariffs and non-tariff barriers, are reduced or eliminated among the participating states, allowing them to trade with each other as easily as possible. Here, this part deals with the economic integration in the form of international cartels, customs unions, monetary unions, trade blocs, economic unions and the like. It also discuss the operations of multinational companies, MNCs. Fourth, international financial aid trade regulatory institution. The financial institution like International Monetary Fund, IMF, IBRD, WTO, etc., which influence international economic transaction and relation shall also be the part of international economics. Third, you are going to learn about meaning of trade. Trade is an important phenomenon that decides the economic growth of the country. Trade is an act or process of buying and selling or exchanging of goods and services. The primitive methods of trade was known as the barter system, where goods were exchanged for goods. Later on, money was introduced as a medium of exchange in buying and selling of goods. The differences in value of between the imports and the export is called balance of trade. The situation in which the value of export exceed the value of import is termed as a favorable balance of trade, and the reverse position is termed as unfavorable balance of trade. Here, trade is one of the powerful force of economic integration. The term trade means exchange of goods, wars, and merchandise among peoples. Trade is of the two types. They are internal trade and international trade. First, internal trade. The trade carried on within the domestic territory of a country is termed as internal trade. It is also called as domestic trade or local trade. Land transport like roadways and railways plays a major role in this trade. Local currency is used in internal trade. It helps to promote a balanced regional growth in the country. Here, it refers to the exchange of goods and services within the political and geographical boundaries of a nation. It is a trade within a country. This is also known as domestic trade or home trade or intra-regional trade. Next, international trade. Trade carried on between two or more countries is called international trade. It is also called as external trade or foreign trade. Export and import are two components of international trade. Export means goods and service sold for foreign currency. Import means goods and service bought from overseas producers. Waterways and airways play a vital role in this type of trade. Foreign currency is involved in international trade. The trade between any two countries is called bilateral trade. The trade between more than two countries is called multilateral trade. In short, it refers to the trade of exchange of goods and service between two or more countries. In other words, it is a trade among different countries or trade across political boundaries. It is also called as external trade or foreign trade or inter-regional trade. Next, differences between internal trade and external trade. Student, see the page number 127. Internal trade and international trade. Trade takes place between different individuals and firms within the same nation. International trade takes place between different individuals and firms in different countries. Internal trade, labor and capital moves freely from one region to another. International trade, labor and capital do not move easily from one nation to another. There will be a free flow of goods and services since there are no restriction. International trade, goods and services do not easily move from one country to another since there are a number of restrictions like tariff and quota. Internal trade is only one common currency. International trade are different currencies. Internal trade, the physical and geographical conditions of a country are more or less similar. International trade, there are differences in physical and geographical conditions of the two countries. Internal trade, trade and financial regulation are more or less the same. International trade, the trade and financial regulations such as interest rate, trade laws, difference between countries. Internal trade, there is no differences in political affiliations, customs and habits of the people and government policies. International trade, differences are pronounced in political affiliations, habits and customs of the people and government policies. Lastly, you are going to learn about theories of international trade. First, the classical theory of international trade. Introduction. Adam Smith, 1776, developed the theory of absolute cost advantage, but it was David Ricardo who formulated as an explicit and precise theory, namely the theory of comparative cost advantages, which was later improved and refined by the economists like J.S. Mill, Kearns, Bastable, Taussig and Haberler. We shall first discuss the Adam Smith theory of absolute cost advantages. First, Adam Smith theory of absolute cost advantages. Adam Smith argued that all nations can be benefited when there is a free trade and specialization in terms of their absolute cost advantage. Definition: according to Adam Smith, the base of international trade was absolute cost advantage. Trade between two countries would be mutually beneficial when one country produces a commodity at an absolute cost advantage over the other country, which in turn produces another commodity at an absolute cost advantage over the first country. Assumption: there are two countries and two commodities, like 2 by 2 model. Second, labor is the only factors of production. Third, labor units are homogeneous. Fourth, the cost or price of commodity is measured by the amount of labor required to produce it. Fifth, there is no transport cost. Illustration: absolute cost advantage theory can be illustrated with the help of the following examples. From the illustration, it is clear that India has an absolute advantage in the productions of wheat over China, and China has an absolute advantage in the productions of cloth over India. Therefore, India should specialize in the productions of wheat and import cloth from China. China should specialize in the productions of cloth and import wheat from India. This kind of trade would be mutually beneficial to both India and China. Second, Ricardo theory of comparative cost advantages. David Ricardo, the British economist, in his Principles of Political Economy and Taxation published in 1817, formulated a systematic theory called comparative cost theory. Later it was refined by J.S. Mill, Marshall, Tashig and others. Ricardo demonstrated that the base of trade is the comparative cost differences. In other words, trade can take place even if the absolute cost advantage is absent, but there is a comparative cost difference. According to David Ricardo, a country can gain from trade when it produces at relatively lower cost. Even when a country enjoys absolute advantage in both goods, the country would specialize in the production and export of those goods which are relatively more advantageous. Similarly, even when a country has absolute disadvantage in production of both goods and services, the country would specialize in the production and export of the commodity in which it is relatively less disadvantageous. Assumption: first, there are only two nations and two commodities, that is 2 by 2 model. Labor is the only element of cost of production. Third, all laborers are of equal efficiency. Fourth, labor is perfectly mobile within the country but perfectly immobile between the countries. Fifth, production is subject to the law of constant return. Sixth, foreign trade is free from all barriers. Seventh, no change in technology. Eighth, no transport cost. Ninth, perfect competition. 10th, full employment. 11th, no government intervention. Illustration: Ricardo's theory of comparative cost can be explained with the hypothetical examples of production cost of cloth and wheat in America and India. It is evident from the examples that India has an absolute advantages in production of both cloth and wheat. However, India should concentrate on the productions of wheat in which they enjoys a comparative cost advantages, that is 80 by 120 less than 90 by 100. For America, the comparative cost disadvantages is lesser in cloth production. Hence, America will specialize in the productions of cloth and export it to India in exchange for wheat. With the trade, India can get 1 unit of cloth and 1 unit of wheat by using its 160 labor units. In the absence of trade, for getting these benefits, India will have to use 170 units of labor. America also gains from this trade. With the trade, America can get 1 unit of cloth and 1 unit of wheat by using its 200 units of labor. Otherwise, America will have to use 220 units of labor for getting 1 unit of cloth and 1 unit of wheat. Criticism: labor cost is a small portion of the total cost. Hence, the based on labor cost is unrealistic. Second, labor is different countries are not equal in efficiency. Next, modern theory of international trade. Introduction. The modern theory of international trade was developed by Swedish economist Eli Exer and his student Bertil Ohlin. In 1919, this model was based on the Ricardian theory of international trade. This theory says that The basis for international trade is the differences in factor endowment. It is otherwise called as factor endowment theory. Explanation. The classical theory argued that the basis for foreign trade was comparative cost differences and it considered only labor factor. But the modern theory of international trade explains the cause of such comparative cost differences. This theory attributes international differences in comparative cost to differences in the endowment of factors of production between countries and differences in the factor proportion required in production. Assumption. There are two countries, two commodities and two factors, 2 by 2 models. Countries differ in factor endowment. Commodities are categorized in terms of factor intensity. Countries use same production technology. Countries have identical demand conditions. There is a perfect competition in both product and factor market in both the countries. Explanation. According to Exer-Ohlin, a capital abundant country will export the capital intensive goods, while the labor abundant country will export the labor intensive goods. A factor is regarded abundant or scarce in relation to the quantum of other factors. A country can be regarded as richly endowed with the capital only if the ratio of capital to other factors is higher than the other countries. In the above examples, even though India has more capital in absolute terms, America is more richly endowed with capital because the ratio of capital in India is 0.8, which is less than that of America where it is 1.25. The following diagram illustrated the pattern of world trade. Limitation. Factor endowment of a country may changes over time. Second, the efficiency of the same factor, say labor, may differ in the two countries. For examples, America may be labor scarce in terms of number of workers, but in terms of efficiency, the total labor may be larger. Comparisons of classical theory and modern theory. Classical theory of international trade, modern theory of international trade. The classical theory explains the phenomenon of international trade on the basis of labor theory of value. The modern theory explains the phenomenon of international trade on the basis of general theory of value. Second, classical theory of international trade presents a one factor or labor model. Modern theory of international trade presents a multi-factor labor and capital model. Classical theory of international trade attributes the differences in the comparative cost to differences in the productive efficiency of workers in the two countries. Modern theory of international trade attributes the differences in comparative cost to the differences in factor endowment in the two countries. That's all for today. We will continue in the next class. Finish the assignment by clicking the link below.
Yeah.